What's up, YouTube? Welcome to what is now officially, at the time of filming this, the longest playthrough on my channel. Part 40 of Horizon Forbidden West with a Therapist, and 39 was a doozy. Hopefully 40 is a little bit more chill. I am so grateful that you have made it 40 episodes in. That is a long time. I am grateful for all of your support. It means the world to me. Please leave a thumbs up. Leave a comment if you feel so inclined. Follow the links down in the description. Sub to the channel. All that fun stuff. Let's enjoy a bit of some frolicking around the ruins of San Francisco before we head back to the mountain. I do wish it was daytime. I am curious to see whether I can climb all this. It would be really badass if I can, but I also would understand if I cannot. Oh, yeah, that makes sense, Spoder. Could be part of it. It's hard to know without being able to ask Aloy directly. Okay, so I'm pretty sure they designed the bridge so that you cannot climb it. But that Horus over there really is enticing. Guess we're fighting the Stormbird.
Time to follow up.
Dude, I just absolutely annihilated that thing. When Aloy found Ted, the computer said he had minimal brain activity. What do you think of Ted's obsession to control the narrative, cleanse his conscience, evolving him into a mindless monster? That's just what happened. I mean, I talked a little bit about why Ted
The extra stock for later.
felt such a need for control. I don't know that I have much to add beyond what we discussed last episode. There you go, buddy. Yes. See? Look at that. 2 o'clock. Cuddle time. Yes. Time to cuddle and sleep. "20 years after GGEZ. San Francisco, January 3rd, 2060. Timothy Hirsch leans demonstratively into the railing of the Grand Gates pedestrian straight. Within a minute, a hovering Prev drone closes in to gauge whether he's experiencing any form of anxiety. After receiving a negative answer, the drone continues down the 1-mile path. There are certain tells that Prev drones react to, Tommy says, like gazing out at the bay for too long or leaning onto the fence. If it picks up on such a tell, it'll come to strike up a conversation and if need be, try to talk you out of jumping. But sentient or not, a Prev drone can't look you in the eye and say that they're here for you, that everything will be all right, that you'd be missed. They can't hold your hand or make you remember what it's like to connect to someone. Only a human can do that with sincerity. Today, it's precisely 20 years ago since Project GGEZ. Timothy was one of many attendees at the infamous HoloVent that saw more than 200 people leap to their deaths. It shook me to my core. Everybody thought it was a joke, you know, one of those things that gains momentum on the HoloNet but never takes off until the first one went over. Hirsch has been an active volunteer with the Humane Suicide Intervention Collective, HSIC, ever since. He devotes most of his free time to dissuading potentials from jumping off the Grand Gate. I do this not only because of GGEZ, but because I've been in that place too mentally. The 2030s were supposed to be the end of humankind, but they weren't, right? Yeah. Understandable that they would talk about this. I know that jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge is a, unfortunately, common occurrence as far as those types of occurrences go. Yeah, sending a drone to check people's vitals probably isn't the way. I've talked extensively about like suicide and stuff. I encourage people to watch my conversation about suicide video here on YouTube if you haven't already, if you want some more of my extensive thoughts. We've talked about it through the Zero Dawn, parts of Zero Dawn and other playthroughs, but I will say this, that research has shown over and over again that the number one thing that prevents people from killing themselves is being in the presence of other people and having the emotional human connection part of it is certainly going to serve as a catalyst, but just having some level of connection to other humans, being proximal to them, people are so much less likely to follow through. Suicide more often than not happens in isolation. And a lot of times when people do things like jump off the Golden Gate Bridge, they are doing so like in isolation. Like, yes, there might be cars driving on the bridge, but that's a lot different than having people around you. But yeah, suicide is often seen as a solution to an overwhelming sense of hopelessness and helplessness. It is often seen as a last resort. It is rarely impulsive. And if it's something that you've been thinking about, there are resources out there in the form of hotlines that you can call, people who are willing to talk to you, who care. But that guy talking about the human connection aspect of that, it's a very important one. And the way that you want to respond to somebody in that type of situation is not, oh, you don't want to do that. It's, tell me why you want to do that. You want to connect with them. Because chances are they probably already feel like shit. You don't want to make them feel worse or guilty or anything like that. But I worked on the National Suicide Prevention Hotline for 3 years, and I talked to a lot of people who said that talking on the phone with somebody who was willing to listen to them was the most amazing thing they'd experienced in quite some time. In terms of like a connectiveness type thing, and that it really made a difference for them and not wanting to follow through. Oh. Cone Cave, thank you for the kind words. Appreciate them. Is this Alcatraz?
Do I have anything that can hit it with purge water?
There's like nowhere to climb. Okay. I want to figure out a way to get up there. Maybe I'm just not meant to go up there yet. All right, let's check. Okay, we have all the black boxes except one. Quests, enduring. Talk to Katalo. Okay, so that's good. Gemini. I mean, there's so much over here still. It does seem like you should be able to get up here, but I just don't see... Whoa. Oh, that's just another big storm bird. Like, I'm pretty sure they probably Skyrim climb proofed this. Yeah. Like, totally. Like, there's an invisible wall here. I'm not meant to go up there yet. Guaranteed. Of course I don't have that campfire yet. That's fine. We'll get up there eventually. I do want it to be daytime though, so hopefully there's a... Yeah. What's your favorite tribe in the series? Yes. I don't know. They're all cool in their own way. I like how peaceful it is here. Oh boy, stalkers. Where's the tiger? Where's the tiger? Oh god. The kitty. Okay. And we're just gonna do a little bit of exploring. I want to have the whole island. What the hell? These Quen? What are you guys doing here? I say this every time this music plays. This music's so good. Alright, we're gonna go to that campfire. And then we'll make our way out of here, I guess. This must be such a cool experience. Like, I mean, I remember how I felt walking around Vegas, but this must be such a cool experience. Like, if you've been to, or if you're from San Francisco, like walking around this island has got to be such a cool experience. Oh, shit. Make you want to visit these places? Well, I live in Vegas, so I get to visit Vegas every day. But I mean, I wouldn't mind going to San Francisco. It's a city that I've always thought would be neat to see. My family went to San Francisco while I was in grad school, and I wasn't able to go. They got to like see all sorts of cool shit. I never did. Techapelago. Verting from my meeting at the university to San Fran and taking a detour over the Techapelago, it's surreal. Stanford is nothing compared to what some of these tech companies have built for themselves. Massive artificial landmasses, some of them are fragmented over several islets connected with walkways or bridges. Campuses, parks, vert pads, solar fields, security buoys, all circled by boats and submersibles full of tourists, ready to dive to check out the sunken remains of the old Silicon Valley. The scope and spectacle of it is simultaneously inspiring and dreadful. I'm taking notes as I go. Cool. You do that, man. We got one more question mark, so I will be right back. Let me like 2 minutes. Okay. Sorry, someone was at my door. I do ask that people not speculate about any subsequent games in the series because you might inadvertently spoil stuff. I just prefer to be safer than sorry on that. Oh, look who we got over here. Why are there big dinosaurs in San Francisco? Dude, the music is so good for them. What up, boss?
Yes! Knocked off its weapon!
God damn it. Damn, dude. Aloy, hold on to the goddamn gun. Yeah. Oh, God. The hell? Where did you go? All I want to do is just go to that. Come on. What's up here? Ooh, a little piece of lore up here for your boy. Thank you for making this exploration worth my while. Citizen of the New World. It's been 2 years since I pulled the drone from the Ganges. For any other scavenger, it would have been a good find, a hunk of metal worth a month of food and stims. But for me, it was life-changing. I spent a month taking it apart and putting it back together, running improvised diagnostics with a recycled mockingboard tablet. I saw how it worked, felt the thrill of discovery, of understanding, and then I spotted the bugs in its targeting system. FAS was very interested in those bugs, and in the improvements I recommended for their software. They gave me everything I ever wanted. A job, security for my family, even citizenship. I should be happy. I am happy. But now that we've improved efficiency in the acquisition module by 34% and the new prototypes have been tested, I've seen hollows of MK3 drones firing hacking flechettes into test bots with almost perfect accuracy, overriding their systems within seconds, turning hostiles into an army of robot zombies. My superiors are thrilled. A raise and a promotion are all but certain. Even so, I can't get that image of Oppenheimer out of my head. Not the iconic words he spoke, but his face when he said them. I always was intrigued by it, as it was so hard to place, like the Mona Lisa's smile. Now I know exactly what he was thinking. That job security dough. Thing, man. People with resources can manipulate people without resources very easily by providing basic survival needs.
She was on to me.
You know, a pretty interesting common factor between all these folks that we read about that were involved in all these processes with Pharaoh and stuff is like a sense that what they were doing was wrong, but still doing it anyway. For whatever reason. Like, it really is a lesson to all of us that, like, just because you think you might have limits on what it is that you'd be willing to do doesn't mean you won't push past those limits if you're provided some level of like security or support, or if the circumstances are proper. Like, we're all susceptible to blowing right past our boundaries for the right terms. The whole thing of everybody has their number generally stands true.
Shut this metal flower down.
Yeah, if we, the good guys, don't do it, the bad guys will. Yeah. Oh, shit. What is this? What have we stumbled upon here? Those are the Milgram experiments, Princely. Damn, what a haul down here. Okay, sunken cavern complete. Beautiful. Is there a quicker way out of here? Oh, God. Oh, boy. It'd be pretty terrible to be under here and then be like, I don't know which way's out. I don't know how I feel about Aloy picking up crystals that make noise, but they're worth money, though. I remember when we were over here. There's something so satisfying about running to these locations rather than taking a mount. I don't really know why. Sort of like when you walk a golf course versus taking a golf cart. It's just so much more satisfying. It feels like you get a better...
Shell walker scuttling around. It's got enough snack.
Ooh, what do we have here? Wart. Ooh. Ooh. Wart. Oh, God. Oh, boy. Uh-oh. 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 I want to know what the question mark is. There's just so much detail here that I'll bet so many people playing these games just never even saw. Because it's like so easy to just blow past all this stuff. Not that there's like anything in here, but... How the hell do I get up there? Oh! This door. Big ass spooky locked door. I bet we're coming back over here at some point. You can bet your bottom dollar on that.
Looks like there's more to this place. I'm sure Tilda won't mind me poking around.
No.
How to get through these vines.
What? Damn it! How the hell do... Now I'm determined, man. I want to get up there. There's a freaking... that thing. There has to be a way to get in there. There's a ledge right there. I gotta... okay, there we go. There's a ledge. I should be able to drop down. Sneaky, sneaky, man. Woo!
Past those vines now.
The only other one that I really want, like, is the final black box. Like, I know it exists, obviously, but I don't know where. Oh, there's another rebel camp over here. Dude, there's like, it's unbelievable to me how much of this freaking map I still haven't seen. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, there's a rebel camp here. We've done so much shit. Crazy, dude. Ooh, look at all this. Look at all these speech bubbles.
We just need to find the right strategy. Forget it. The man is unbeatable at machine strike.
His people invented the game. What did you expect?
Kotalo can't win every time. Try to be optimistic.
Try to be realistic. We're terrible.
From the look on your face, I'd say the mission was a success.
I got Omega clearance. Is everyone ready to head out to Cauldron Gemini?
As soon as you give the word.
Did Alva make it here all right?
Our new Quen friend. The moment she laid eyes on the archives, she jumped on them like a long leg.
Sounds about right. Now that I have Omega clearance, we can grab Hephaestus and finally have the advantage over the Zeniths.
Can't wait to see their faces as they stare down a bunch of charging thunderjaws.
Better them than us, for once.
Oh, look at us. Look at us doing the Teddy Pharaoh thing. Enlisting the help of machines to fight our battles. Oh, how history doth repeat itself.
Once Gaia is back up and running, I expect you to put all your training to good use.
The seeds have been planted. All they need is a chance to bloom. What? I thought that was pretty good. Zoe liked it.
I'm glad you and Zoe found each other.
Don't forget, you're to blame for that.
I should go get this
That's
to
a
Gaia.
me.
Of course. Let us know when we're needed.
I shall, buddy. I shall. Alright, Zoe. What you got from me?
Welcome back.
Good to be back. Have you met our new Quen guest yet?
I could barely keep up as she gave herself a tour of the base. Varl gave her a new focus. Though when he told her she was free to access all the data we had here, she turned so pale I thought she'd faint on the spot. We showed her to the archive room so she could see for herself. She hasn't left the place since.
Sounds like Alva.
Oh man, she's got to just be in her element.
Read anything interesting lately?
I found out the old ones use leaf infusions like the Utaru do. Tea, they call it. Apparently it helped soothe them. That and some sort of scented wax they used to cleanse their aura. Plus something called bubble baths. Me, I think I'll stick to singing to calm the nerves.
You do that.
How are things with everyone?
Slightly quieter. Aaron's been busy scouring data on his newest obsession. Apparently the old ones wrestled machines as some kind of performance. Called it metal versus meat. A must-see battle between steel and flesh, as Aaron likes to put it. You'd think we have enough of that going around as it is.
I need to get going.
Right. You've retrieved the Omega clearance. That means we'll be going after Hephaestus soon. I'll make sure my gear's ready.
Cool. What you got for me, boss?
There she is. Heard you had an interesting time at Thebes.
Maniacs, lava, what's not to like?
I'll remember that next time I go traveling.
At least I got what we needed to trap Hephaestus.
Good thing I got my gear ready then.
You look tired.
Ha! You never want to hold back, are you? I've just been making sure that I got everything down for this mission of yours. I wouldn't want to be the usual screw-up out there.
You'll do fine, Errant. Have you spoken with Alva yet?
Yeah, when she's not reading the archives like a giddy kid drinking her first ale. She took to that new focus quick, that's for sure. I gotta say, I'm a little jealous. But I can see why you two hit it off.
I should get going.
As soon as you want us heading out to those cauldrons.
I'll give you the heads up.
Talk to Alva in a minute.
Aloy, well met. We've been briefed on our mission, and are ready whenever you wish to head to Cauldron Gemini.
Were you able to finish the new arm Gaia was helping you with?
Indeed. I was hoping we could discuss it, if you have a moment.
Sure do. What's up?
You wanted to talk about your arm?
Indeed. It's time to test it, and I want you to be there.
Okay. How are we doing this?
Not how. Where? Will you meet me where we felled Regala's tremor tusk? Right where the river bends?
Sure, if you want, but I'm not sure I understand.
You'll see when we get there. I promise.
Then I'll let you know when I get close.
You have my thanks, Aloy.
Nice.
How are your studies going?
I wanted to learn more about the world of the Old Ones.
And?
I looked up this pharaoh Gaia said you went looking for, and learned about the plague of machines he unleashed. To think that the ancient world was wiped out by a mistake. A single miscalculation. There is no glory or honor in such a fate. Only hubris and pointless death.
That about sums it up.
Yup.
Have you spoken with Alva?
The Quen is peculiar. Nothing like a Tenakth. Her mind is sharp, that much is certain. But it's hard to imagine her surviving in the wilds.
Trust me, she's tougher than she looks.
I will take your word for it.
I have to go now.
Then do not let me keep you.
Like I said, I'll call you when I'm close to Regala's old outpost near the bulwark.
May the Ten guide your way.
Thank you, sir. All right, Alva, what you got for me?
Aloy!
Right to work, I see.
There's just so much. I mean, we knew of artificial beings that served the ancestors, but Gaia? Oh, she's amazing! And you, a true reincarnation of an ancestor. Genetically speaking, of course, not like the, late CO. And there's more ancestors out there. Returned from beyond the stars.
Don't get too excited.
Of course, they're trying to kill us, which is not great. And Eric Visser is with them, which is disturbing. And then there's Hephaestus, and...
Okay. How about we take it one step at a time?
You're right. I also owe you an explanation for everything that happened at Landfall.
Indeed. Please tell me about what happened at Landfall.
You said you owed me an explanation for what happened in Thebes. I'm listening.
Right. I'll start at the beginning with the CO. He was an Imperial, the Emperor's nephew, in fact. As such, he sponsored many diviners to search the legacy for anything that might help the tribe, and himself. He took a special interest in anything related to Ted Faro, whom we considered the greatest of the ancestors.
Ted Faro, revered ancestor. That's tough to take.
I know better now, of course. Anyway, the diviners discovered that Faro spent a great deal of time in San Francisco. In fact, many of the most important ancestors did. So the Emperor's nephew convinced him that an expedition across the ocean might solve our most pressing problems. If only we could find the right data in this fabled city. Perhaps we could roll back the floods and storms that threatened our people. The Emperor declared that all the tribe's resources be poured into this endeavor. Dozens of ships were built, scouting missions were dispatched, and the Emperor's nephew was named CO, one who wields the legacy for the good of the Empire. The living embodiment of Ted Faro, the Renewer. It may seem strange now, but for a time, he carried all of our hopes. We really believed he would save us.
Way easier to download all of that into one person. It's the opposite of what we've talked about with Ted Faro, where we blame Ted Faro for so many things because he's easy to scapegoat. It's a lot easier for the human brain to wrap itself around the idea that all of this exists in one nice bottled up place. I mean, the ideal would be to look at it as this is going to be a collective effort. This is going to be something that all of us are going to contribute to, et cetera, but that does get harder to track. When you disperse hope, it doesn't feel as profound. So when you have the CEO and you download all of it into him, and essentially scapegoat him in a positive way of like, he's the guy. He's going to shepherd us to whatever. He's going to make the Quen great again. You run a risk, because if that person ends up embodying the traits of a person who is not particularly good to be around, or embodies selfishness and self-servingness, you've put your eggs in an ego basket instead of in one that actually does represent the greater good. You may actually be duped into believing that you're following something that's in your best interest when it's not. And unfortunately, that guy got drunk with the power that came along with it. He fully embraced what it meant to hold that role. He fully embraced what it meant to be seen as an extension of Ted Faro, and he went ham on it. And for all the reasons we talked about last episode. But it makes sense why they did that. And when she says, for a while, he held our hopes, yeah, understandable. The guy did have, I mean, it was not my cup of tea, but he did have a level of charisma that people could connect to. He carried himself with a level of confidence that people would be drawn to in times of extreme adversity. I've talked about this in other playthroughs too, that like it's really, people look for confidence in times of adversity. People want people that seem to be well-spoken and clear and confident, because they often believe that those people are more in control of the adverse situation than they are. And we sort of inadvertently idealize that. There are all sorts of reasons why they would have followed him. I believe her completely. And remember, they didn't have full data on Faro. So it's understandable why they idealized him. Groove, thank you for the 4 months.
We had no idea just how perilous the journey would be.
It was quite perilous.
You said the expedition across the sea was more dangerous than you thought it would be. What happened?
We lost most of our ships to hurricanes,
Ooh.
and scores of soldiers perished to hunger and disease. And that was before we even hit the coast. Once we landed, machines ripped our patrols apart, and we struggled to replenish our rations. There were bright spots, to be sure. We found Thebes and the greenhouse, but nothing improved the CEO's mood as his dreams of saving the tribe were slowly dashed. He became more and more obsessed with Thebes and what lay behind its door, and more convinced that the title of CEO was no mere honorific. You heard him, spouting nonsense about Pharaoh's essence and some kind of becoming. We knew these weren't the words of a sane man, but he was quick to put any who spoke out in front of a firing squad.
What a great guy.
The Quen are wrong about many things when it comes to the legacy. I can see that now.
Ooh, that's good. That's huge, man. Admitting that you might have it wrong in your interpretations of things is a first step to getting it right. And I love that she is willing to de-idealize herself and the very principles that her society are built on in order to acknowledge the reality of things, which is that they haven't been correct in a lot of ways. That openness, that's accommodation, man. That's building your brain plasticity. Like, all right, shit, we thought we had it all down. and we got to a new place, and we got more information, we got further context, and we are presented with an option of, do we double down on our shit, or do we open ourselves up to the idea that perhaps we weren't correct? It's a beautiful thing when you can open yourself up to the idea that you weren't correct. Learn from it. Now, that's her. I'm not going to say that she's generalized out for all the Quen. I don't know that they would share her experience, but she holds a very important position within their ranks. And if she moves up those ranks in some ways, she may be able to use that mindset to better influence the Quen into a more realistic way of orienting themselves to the world, which is awesome.
But what the CO became was a complete perversion of what principal diviners stand for. The pursuit of truth. I'm sorry you had to endure his madness. I'm just glad it's over. For everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bohai, your overseer. Will he run things better than CO?
He won't execute people on a whim, if that's what you mean. But he's hardly a paragon of integrity. I can't tell you how many times he took credit for data in the legacy that I uncovered. The best thing I can say about him is
Corporate America, am I right?
that he can be trusted to always do what's best for him.
Yep, sounds about right. The ancestors, is that what your people call the old ones?
Yes and no. The ancestors are the greatest of the old ones. Those whose legacy taught us agriculture, medicine, warfare, leadership, and patronage of the science and arts.
The CO called Elizabeth Sobek an assistant. What's that about?
Right. Well, any old one who has made minor contributions or worked extensively under one of the ancestors is called an assistant. That's how we thought of Sobek, until we met you. Our limited access to data past the late 2040s has obviously misinformed our view of the past.
I just would like to say that of all the characters in this game, I think Alva is like the best acted and animated. Like, I realize it's mocap, but she is like, she feels legitimately like a real person, and I love it. Like, the more that we are getting to know her, the more I just have an immense appreciation for the way that she was created. It's just very cool, just from a design standpoint, and like, not who she is in the world, but like just from how Guerrilla brought her into this space is really, it's just really excellent. She's super engaging.
You mentioned the reason you came here was to help your family. Your sister...
Her name is Alika. Our parents are commoners, peasants, really. When I passed the divination exams, they were so proud. It brought honor to our family and increased rations. Only Alika begged me not to leave for the research academy.
Why? What happens there?
Alika knew that once you enter, you're not allowed to leave or see anyone, not even your family. Unless you can get special permission and an escort by an overseer.
It sounds...
Why would that be? Why would you do that? Let's see if she explains. I have a theory.
It's harsh.
Like the focuses we keep, diviners are few in number, and the Empire is, well, fearful that outsiders will try to steal our knowledge. Last time I was allowed to see my family was just before our voyage here. Because of my position, I was able to get them refuge from the floods within the capital. But if our crops don't recover soon, they'll starve to death along with everyone else.
I promise I'll do my best to make sure it doesn't come to that.
We don't want people to steal our knowledge. I believe that. I believe that that's probably the case. Because knowledge is power. But when you control the flow of knowledge, when you control the flow of information, and when you limit the amount of dissonance for that information that's coming through, it's a maintenance of power. Like, if it's kind of like how if a pharmaceutical company holds a patent for a medication that can make a huge difference in the lives of so many people, but you keep all the ingredients and everything on lockdown because you don't want all of the information to become publicly available, because if it's publicly available and easy enough to be reproduced in mass quantities by multiple people, you no longer control that market. You no longer have power. It's no longer profitable. And for a society that's built on what seems to be a very corporate structure, the withholding of information would be a very powerful way to hold people in power in power. Because if you lock these guys away and then you tell everybody that when they come out that they're a big deal and they're more powerful than you and they have the information and you don't have access to the information that they've gotten and you haven't had the ability to poke holes in it or create dissonance, it perpetuates the entire hierarchy. So it makes sense why they did it. I don't think it's this whole we don't want people to steal our ideas thing, because if you had a really good idea for how you could more efficiently cultivate crops and you don't want other people to have it, you really got to start asking yourself why. If it's for the greater good to share that information, what's up?
Back at the greenhouse, you spoke of knowledge forbidden to your people.
Diviners are meant to seek out the truth in the legacy, and many Imperials sponsor them in the hopes they'll find something the Empire can put to use, thus gaining favor with the Emperor. But the Board of Overseers claims certain truths are detrimental to the stability of the Empire.
Oh no! You mean if people actually know what the reality is of things, they might challenge the hierarchical structure of your society? Oh no! We can't have people know what that is.
Like discovering one of our revered ancestors ended the world. That is why diviners are only allowed to access segments of the legacy. Only overseers can view it all. It ensures that any heretical data can be contained and retrieved before it can spread.
What happens to diviners who break the rules?
I never had the courage to ask.
This is a lot more dicey than I'm making it out to be. It's not that black and white. I do believe in people having information and working with the reality that's in front of them, but I do want to take one counterpoint, which is that there is at times utility to withholding information from the masses. There are times where it is in the best interest of the public at large not to know certain things, because you can create panic. Because there is some knowledge that, like, knowledge without context can be really bad. It can cause people to draw their own conclusions that go in a direction that's not actually a reflection of reality. And when you have that happen in 16 to 100 different ways or whatever, like, then you can cause mass panic and fighting and all sorts of crazy shit. So the dissemination of information and the thoughtfulness with which you do it and the context you provide around it is deeply important. Withholding it for the maintenance of a hierarchical structure, not good. Withholding because you are making a calculated decision about the well-being of people who may not have full understanding of that information when it's presented to them, arguably a good idea. Right? There's nuance to these types of things. Grimlock, thank you for the 100 bits. I appreciate it very much.
You mentioned Eric Visser? How do you know about him?
The Zenith who tried to kill you? He is known to the Quen as the Protector. Combing through data related to his work led us to breakthroughs related to weapons and military tactics. Knowledge our rulers used to conquer and expand, to become the empire we are today. That's why he's one of our most revered ancestors.
Yeah, it was so cool the way he gave us tools to decimate the natives, take out those small communities that were auxiliary to us. Hell yeah, brother.
But based on your encounter with him, It appears he's even more ruthless than we ever imagined. Yet another distorted interpretation in the legacy.
Well, at least you're piecing together the truth.
If only the overseers back home would do the same.
Beta mentioned other Zeniths. Tilda, Verbena, and Gerard.
I'm afraid I don't know anything about them. Whatever legacy they left behind, the Diviners haven't recovered.
I see you've been using your new focus.
It's been fascinating. So much better than the version the Quen have. What would have taken me years to sort through, like the database you helped me recover, with this, I've been able to establish search parameters to speed up the process. This could revolutionize how Diviners analyze the legacy. That is, whatever part of it the Overseers would actually let us study.
You wanted data, you'll find lots of it here.
A Diviner has never had this sort of unsupervised access to archives such as this.
And that's dangerous. I'm in danger because of that. Unfortunately, Alva is in a compromised position now as the result of this, if the Quen's structure is what we believe it to be. I mean, I'm happy for her. I'm glad she's excited, but there's going to be a reality check here at some point where she's going to realize that she's had access to stuff and doing stuff that people are not going to like. And she's going to push a status quo that has long been established for very particular reasons, especially if she feels emboldened by this.
And knowing you, I suspect there is much that would normally be forbidden held within them. But I was sent here to help you. I would be remiss to ignore any truth laid before me. Maybe it'll help the Quen find their way back to the path of truth.
I imagine you don't know anyone here that well yet, but they're a good group.
It's funny because one of your friends is, well, another you. Not that you are the same person at all. I mean, you are, as in, you're both genetically Elizabeth Sobek, but even so, you're different.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, it's a landmine, Alva. Be careful.
I hope everyone's been treating you okay.
Oh, yeah, of course. They've all been extremely welcoming. And they share the knowledge they learn on their focuses with each other freely. It's refreshing. Back home, Diviners can only share data with the permission from the Overseers.
Sounds restrictive and stifling.
Yeah, you are not wrong.
I need to get going, but if you need anything...
All I need is to help you succeed in your mission. The plan Gaia told me about, to capture Hephaestus, it will help set things right.
I hope so.
Then I will do whatever I can. I promise.
Okay. Beta. Time for our chat after I go in my office. Or no, this is my office? Yeah. No. This is, oh god, this is Zoe and Varros.
The old ones like to dance.
Do I have what I need for some of these? I can override a slaughter spine. Hell yeah.
Forge, find an inn.
Beta. Mama's coming. Beta, open this door. No beta.
Let's see.
Think I should hang my raiments up in the closet? All right, Gaia.
If you keep frowning that hard, we'll get wrinkles.
I just don't get this last part.
Maybe we can look at it together later. Have a conversation about it.
I'd like that.
Uh-oh, did Varl find porn?
Welcome back.
All right, hold on a second, Gaia.
Okay, data module's in.
Only 2 left. All right, Gaia.
Aloy, I know your experience in Thebes was unsettling, but we have a new problem.
Did something go wrong with Beta and the rig? Will we be able to transport you to Gemini?
The rig is complete. The problem is Hephaestus itself. It has accelerated its proliferation throughout the Cauldron network, increasing its power.
But with your sub-functions restored, we can still succeed, right?
Correct, but the net effect is that absorbing Hephaestus will take longer than previously calculated.
How long?
Even with Omega clearance, my current estimate is that the merge will take 35 hours.
Oh, boy.
And each hour increases the risk of detection by the Zeniths.
Oh, boy. It's a long
2
time.
cores. 2 overrides. What if the merge were carried out by 2 clones of Elizabeth Sobek, both armed with Omega clearance? How long then? Half the time?
Hephaestus would be unprepared for the simultaneous labor of 2 operators, in addition to obvious synergetic efficiencies. Calculating. It would reduce the merge time to approximately 4.5 hours.
Okay. Varl, it looks like we're gonna need Beta at Gemini. Do you think you can convince her?
I don't know, but I'll try.
What about our diversion? Are the pulse generators ready?
Great call having Varl do it. At least she possesses enough self-awareness to know that if she goes down there to ask about it, it's going to be a bad time.
Only a final test remains. I am confident that if fired in proximity to other cauldrons, the pulses will mask our activities at Gemini from the Zeniths.
Good. As long as Aaron can operate one without shooting himself in the face.
Aloy, you better get down here. Beta's in bad shape.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Oh, boy. Kind of bad shape we talking about here, Varl?
Wait. Where did that file go?
Aloy, you better steel yourself here.
Aloy. I tried, but it's impossible. I don't think anything will convince her to go.
We don't have a choice.
Good luck.
Oh, man. All right. Just because I like to do this, I like to compare and contrast to what does DrMick think would be the best way to approach this, and how will Aloy actually approach this. Aloy is in the unfortunate position of having to deal news that is not going to land particularly well on the person that she is going to deliver it to. It is an unenviable position. The best way to go about this type of scenario is to be ready to listen. Aloy is likely going in there with knowing what she has to say. She knows what the mission is. She knows what needs to be done. She knows what Beta's role is in it. And she thinks that all of the information she has is likely going to be enough to get Beta to move on this. But Gaia said it'll reduce it from 35 to 4.5 hours. The end of the world's at stake. Then blah, blah, blah. She's got all sorts of logistical ammo here that she could throw at Beta. And none of it is going to be useful if she is not willing to hear Beta out on why Beta is hesitant to do this. You have to be willing to reach Beta's autonomy here, asking her, what's up? I get a sense that this freaked you out. I'm seeing that there is resistance to doing this. I'm not here to convince you out of that. I'm here to understand why you are hesitant. Beta already knows that Aloy is going to show up here. She could have inferred that when Varl came down. And when she says no to Varl, there's no possible way that it's like, okay, cool, I said no to Varl, everything's going to be fine. She has to be anticipating that Aloy is going to come in here guns blazing. And likely knows the logistics of why Aloy believes that Beta needs to be involved in this. So you could bypass all that shit and say, hey, I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to strong-arm you. I'm here to understand what's going on. I want to know more about your perspective on this. Is there something we're missing? Like, you got to go in there with curiosity if you're Aloy. And then you tighten the screws as you go.
Beta, you have to come with us. It's the only way.
Or go in there and patronize her. You know, whatever.
It's one mission. The most important one. We need you. Tell me why you won't go.
How many parents of teenagers right now are watching this having flashbacks to times that you tried that you tried to have a conversation with your teenager and get them to do something that they didn't want to do? Because that's what this conversation is right now. Oh my God. And Aloy's doing what so many parents do. You think that urgency and tone of voice and it's giving a little show of force is going to make the difference. It ain't. Oh. All right. Let's just see what happens. It's so funny to me because Aloy just turned into angry mom of teenager.
What if they take me back? Alone, in a cell again. Their slave. Forever.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And this is why we go in with curiosity, because that's a very legitimate question. Hey, Beta, how about we put you in the face of the people who traumatized you? Right? Like for Aloy, the Far Zenith people are a threat, but they don't contribute to personal trauma that she has. Beta's worry here is completely legitimate, and it's understandable why. Like, this isn't even about whether Beta thinks that this will succeed. This is about Beta trying to sort out a bunch of unknown variables. One of them that, if it becomes known, is the worst possible thing that could happen to her. If there was ever a time for Aloy to reach down and find compassion, it's now. Look at the odds? No way. Find your courage, get the hell out of here. I'll protect you. This is a tough one, because Aloy hasn't exactly shown her to be warm. Stare at her for 5 minutes while we try to decide what to say. Look at the odds is an interesting one if you want to connect with her on more of an intellectual level, but I don't think, like, what she's dealing with right now is an emotional aversion. So logic is likely not going to override that unless Aloy hits the bullseye, which I don't feel confident in Aloy doing. Find your courage is a little bit tough here. Courage doesn't get anything done. And Beta has, whatever courage Beta has had has been channeled into getting away from the Far Zeniths, not running toward them. So it's got to be this one. It's got to be, I'm going to do everything I can to protect you.
Varl and I will be at Gemini too. I'll protect you. As soon as we get Hephaestus, we'll come straight back here. The Zeniths aren't going to find us. You don't have to be afraid.
I know I nitpick these scenes, but it's so important that I do it. It's so important that I do it. It is okay that Aloy has just said that she will protect her. That I'm with. Beta needs to hear that. She can't promise it. She can't promise it, but she can say, every intention I have is to protect you, that I will bring you back here. I mean, she could be a little more realistic. I don't know that they'll find us here, but Aloy taking this route is okay. The thing that I'm nitpicking here on Aloy is the you don't have to be afraid part of the conversation. No. The way that you want to say it is okay to be afraid. It makes sense why you're afraid. I would be afraid too if I was you. She might even say, I'm afraid, because there's huge implications on this. I don't want to send you out there any more than you want to be out there. I don't want to be out there. You are afraid, and that is okay. That makes so much sense. You and I have to work together to figure out what we're going to do with that fear. Let's be in this fear together. Let's make a difference. Let's do the thing that matters to us right now while we're scared, so that maybe we can be less scared. Because if this succeeds, Far Zenith ain't going to make it to us. And as far as we know, we're the only variables that can actually do anything about this. That's the way that you want to react here. You don't want to tell her you don't have to be afraid. Of course of course she's afraid. It doesn't matter whether you have to be or should be or whatever. Of course you're afraid. Share that experience. Validate it. You're not going to destroy Beta by doing that. In fact, you're going to facilitate a degree of intimacy and trust that may make Beta a little bit more open to hearing what you have to say if you're Aloy.
No! You can't protect me. Nothing can protect me from them. I told you from the beginning we'll never beat them. It's hopeless.
Because in Beta's world, it was. Now, Beta is speaking in absolutes and is on the polar opposite side of the spectrum that Aloy is when we address these types of things, where Aloy is the eternal optimist and Beta is the eternal pessimist. But in Beta's estimation and in her lived experience, Far Zeniths have been insurmountable. The only way she's been able to surmount them is by running away from them, not by doing anything that goes even remotely towards going toward them. So it's understandable why this is freaking her out. She's being pinned against all the things that her traumatic experience growing up has told her she needs to stay away from. And so this panic and this like strong physiological response here, this aversion to Aloy, this pushback, is her using what very little autonomy she has grown accustomed to attending to in this bunker to try to exercise it against Aloy here. This is a totally understandable response. It is one that I would expect. It's one Aloy needed to be ready for when she came down here, and you have to be ready to intercept it with compassion and validation. If you don't do that, you're going to miss the mark in a profound way.
Beta. Leave me alone! You don't understand!
It's true. Lean into it, Aloy. Lean into it.
You're right. I don't understand. We have the same genes, the same mind, the same heart. So why can't you find the strength to do what has to be done? Like Elizabeth would. Don't you think I've thought about that? I don't know what piece of Elizabeth I'm missing. I don't know what you have that I don't. I look through all the data from your focus.
Aloy has a different upbringing. Aloy had Rost. Aloy had somebody who believed in her, who facilitated her growth, who told her that she mattered, who told her that she could get it done. The difference between Beta and Aloy is their family of origin experience. You cannot divorce your context from the realities of how you present in the here and now. Aloy, this is the relativity. When we talk about relative privilege, this is a perfect moment to talk about it. Because Aloy's upbringing relative to other Nora and other people in the world that she lives in totally sucked. Totally sucked. It was awful. Aloy's upbringing relative to Beta's, amazing. Absolutely incredible. And it's not comparison. It's not the trauma Olympics. It's not any of that. Like we're not doing this to try to one up each other, but the reality is the relativity of their experience means that, like, the thing that's missing is that Aloy had so many of these skills facilitated by Rost and her environment. Beta was used, manipulated, given no autonomy, was brought about for a very specific purpose. Beta is the extreme version of why Aloy was brought back by Gaia. Aloy was brought back in a similar way, but had more of that cultivated experience to understand her autonomy, to build physical and mental strength and fortitude. Like, there's all sorts of shit so that Aloy approaches things with this can-do attitude, as opposed to Beta, who is basically told she's a piece of shit insofar as she does anything other than get us to where we're trying to go. So that's the difference. This is why your genetic code only matters so much. If any one of us was raised in an entirely different context, we would be different people. If I was born in, I don't know, a slum in Bangladesh and left there by my parents, I'm not DrMick today. And that's a weird reality for us to think about, that we are in a lot of ways products of our environment. So that's the difference here. As a side note here, I want to get, this may feel very messy, and it is because it's emotional, but this is the two of them hacking stuff out. If I'm a therapist in this situation watching this happen, I would not be pausing this like I am. I'm pausing this because I want to talk through this as we do with these playthroughs, but I'd be watching this happen. We'd be observing this in its entirety. And taking these are the mental notes I'd be taking while I'm watching this happen. But this is good. They need to do this. This is facilitating intimacy, believe it or not, because they are engaging with each other. Aloy throws her hands up and walks away. That's a problem. But the fact that they're talking to each other and getting emotional, it means they care, and it means there's a level of engagement there. So they can get through this. They just need the right scaffolding around it.
You were raised as an outcast, shunned, and isolated just like me, so what's the difference?
Well,
What's my defect?
Come on. Get in there, Aloy. Please. Thank God.
Beta, you don't have a defect. Beta, look, it's not a piece of Elizabeth. The difference is, I had him. Rost. He raised you, trained you, but he was never warm or loving. The day he died, the day he gave you that charm, he was going to abandon you. He wanted me to embrace the tribe. But then he gave his life for mine. He loved me in his own way. And that was enough. What did it feel like? It was like having a strength that was always there. It's still there. Even now I hear him in my head when things get bad. When it looks impossible, look deeper. And and then fight like you can win.
Closest I've gotten to crying in this entire series. Right there. Look at that. Aloy got her. Right? Mirrored body language. She turns toward her. She's got her. Because why? Because Aloy got vulnerable. Aloy got vulnerable. It starts with her. I've been dying for Aloy to get vulnerable here, and she finally did it. I mean, I got so much to say here. The first thing is, we internalize our caregivers, our attachment figures, the people that facilitated our development, whether we like it or not. There are some people, like myself, who, and like Aloy in this case, that got lucky, that had caregivers and attachment figures that believe in them, that told them things like, you can do anything, you're awesome, you are capable. Those things matter, man. I mean, the psychological term for it is you internalize that. You carry an object of that person in your mind. And when Aloy says that she can still hear Rost's voice, that's what it is. In the same way that, like, if you have an upbringing where you're taught how to take on challenges, you're taught to believe in yourself, to see yourself as the thing that transcends all these things, you might hear your parents' voice in a really tough time saying, you can do this because I believe in you. Eventually that starts to sound like your own voice. There are unfortunately other people who don't have that experience. There are people who have the experience of a parental figure or a guardian who tell them that they're not capable, that show them that they're worthless, that they aren't good enough. And unfortunately, you internalize that too. So all of a sudden you are presented with adversity and you engage with the internalized object of your parent or a friend or whatever that basically tells you you're not strong enough to handle that. And the problem is you run into the same issue that people with good figures do, which is you have a hard time divorcing your own voice from that. So you start to believe that that's you, that you don't believe in yourself. And that's not you. A question that I ask clients frequently when we start talking about these types of narratives is, when you say to yourself things like, I can't do this, I'm incompetent, I'm worthless, I'll never do it, I'll never have the strength. Who from your upbringing, if they were standing behind you right now, would be nodding in agreement? And you get some pretty powerful answers. You get people who say things like, oh, my dad. My dad would be sitting there nodding, saying, I can't do it. And then you say, or I would say things like, well, he's not entitled to you carrying that narrative on his behalf anymore. You don't have to agree with that. You get to develop your own self-talk. You get to develop your own sense of worthiness and empowerment. No, you were not lucky enough, Beta. We were not lucky enough to have Rost in your life like Aloy did. That sucks. That is unfair. And also, that doesn't mean that you are precluded from engaging with a degree of believing in yourself that Aloy does. You don't have to keep those narratives going. You don't have to keep believing them. They just got jammed into you so deep that you believe they're your own, but they're not. And it's just as important on the other end of the spectrum to do that as well. Of like, you know, if you had the experience of people who told you that they believe in you and that you're awesome and capable, you should separate yourself a bit from that too. Because there might be certain scenarios where it's important for you to engage with the fact that you may not be suited for something. That it may, in fact, be dangerous or reckless to believe in yourself in a particular scenario where some caution might be a good idea. So there's a lot of nuance to this. But this is where the importance of nurture and family of origin and what you experienced growing up, what you took in, what you witnessed, what you internalized, what you inductively reasoned, all of this shit matters. And this is why, like, as a therapist, we have to get that information from you. Because if I don't have that information, I don't have the whole story. I don't have the answer to Beta's question. We all love to believe that we're these like silos that exist in the world, but we're not. We are the products of the people and the environment we came from. And we're seeing how two people with the exact same genetic code can have entirely different orientations to an event in front of them because of that nurture. And it's a beautiful thing, and I love the way that Gorilla handled this. It's awesome.
You don't have to go on the mission. We'll find another way.
Nice. Now she will.
I'll go.
Yeah, of course.
You said you'd try to protect me. I believe you. But you have to promise me one thing. Yes, of course. If it goes bad, if the Zeniths find us, I don't want to be their slave again. Do you understand? Okay.
I will put an arrow through
Promise.
your head.
I promise.
Oh, man.
I could use as much time as you can give me to study up on the merge, to make it as efficient as possible.
Boom.
I'll be ready when you are. I swear.
Okay. This is beautiful. And in order for this to work, and I think this is the entryway to this, Aloy has to stop seeing herself as a sister or as a clone to Beta or as a peer. You know what Aloy is to Beta? She's the mom that Aloy never had. Aloy doesn't have a template for being a mom. Aloy is to Beta, I think, in a lot of ways, what Elizabeth Sobek would have been to Aloy if she found her. Remember, Aloy's a clone of Elizabeth, but she saw her as mom. So I think in some ways, in order for this dynamic to work, Aloy has to engage with that. But Aloy doesn't have a template for a mother. She has a I mean, not that like Ross doesn't, the whole mother-father thing, you know, it's a very, very like gendered binary thing. But ultimately, Aloy doesn't really have a template for somebody like her being in a position to provide caregiving. And I do think that that right there was, in some ways, an example of the ways in which Aloy does hold more of that kind of dynamic with Beta. They're peers, no doubt. But Beta just developmentally presents as so much younger. And, you know, I don't know that Aloy's consciously aware of that, but I do think it absolutely plays a role here. And I think it's okay for Aloy to promise what she promised to Beta. That's more of a symbolic gesture than anything else. But if it means that Aloy's got to put an arrow through Beta's head if she gets dragged off by the Far Zeniths, then so be it. She better be ready to follow through on that if she needs to.
Aloy, whenever you are ready, come speak to me and I'll ask the others to make final preparations for the mission.
place looks nice with some green in it.
And dirt. Don't forget all that dirt we had to bring in.
If we're going to go around trying to protect life, we should have more of it around.
I hope I'm not interrupting.
Not at all. I was just studying the pulse generator schematics. The ones Gaia and Beta built. The craftsmanship is remarkable. Is everything all right? It sounded like there was an issue with Beta and the mission.
Not anymore. We just needed to talk some things through.
To understand one another is to embrace truth. Oh, and if you have a moment, there's something I could use your help with.
What's up?
You mentioned there was something you needed help with?
Yes. So, as I was sifting through data from the greenhouse, I found references to an old world system back in the Great Delta. It's called Leviathan. My people discovered it decades ago. A sprawling network of river gates and a labyrinth of underground tunnels. The legacy revealed that the old ones used it to control flooding. But we've never gotten it to work. The whole thing is shut down. But the data from the greenhouse mentions the research facility where Leviathan was created. It's in San Francisco.
Another Pharaoh facility?
No. Leviathan was a project by Eileen Sasaki, another ancestor. So the legacy tells us, anyway, if we can acquire that data, we might be able to fix the system back in the Great Delta. Every year, my sister gets terrified when the long rains begin. With Leviathan, maybe she won't have to be.
Okay. So, where in San Francisco is this facility?
That's the thing. The data doesn't say where, exactly. But one of our diviners has been exploring the ruins. He might know. Would you come with me? I have a feeling that wherever this facility is, well, you're much better at fighting machines than I am.
Of course. I'll let you know when I'm in landfall.
Thank you, Aloy.
You're really good at chucking backpacks at me with stuff in them, though.
Must be strange to think that some of the ancestors your tribe reveres are still alive. And here on Earth, right now.
Yeah, it is. Part of me's curious to know who else besides Eric Visser might be among them. Maybe Nikita Arand? We call her the Spark. The legacy tells us she brought unlimited energy to the old ones. Or Sung Jiao, whom we call the Healer. It is said she found new ways to extend the ancestors' lifespans. But my curiosity fades when I think of how different our view of Visser was compared to the reality that you experienced. Perhaps it is better not to know.
Any more data catch your eye?
All of it? I have so much to study up on. Years, actually. I'm particularly interested in the Odyssey. We knew the ancestors had made it to the moon. In fact, we theorized some of them had settled on it. But Sirius is way farther than that. And
Sure
we thought
is.
journeying across the ocean would be the feat of a lifetime. The sheer calculations needed for space travel. It's overwhelming to think about.
Even so, the Quen are way ahead of other tribes when it comes to understanding this stuff. Where I grew up, everyone thought that stars were sparks that rose from a fire lit by the goddess to guide us through the night.
It's close.
Have you spoken with Zoe at all?
A little bit, but I did hear her singing with Varl not too long ago. I don't think they noticed. Zoe seemed so free when she did it. Like every emotion she had was taking flight in song. And she looked happier because of it. I felt so dull and nervous in comparison.
You should ask Zoe to teach you sometime. About Utaru music.
Maybe.
You can get there. Oh, man. Ah, yes. Watching other people be competent at a thing that you believe yourself to be incompetent at or are incompetent at, raising up the social anxiety and general salience of insecurity is totally a thing. it's always sad to me. It's understandable, but sad to me when people stop themselves for doing things because of getting in their own way. She sees Zoe singing and she thinks to herself, man, that'd be so cool to do, but I'm not cool enough. I don't. And it's like, well, yeah, you don't do it right now. That's why you're bad at it. And Aloy's like, yeah, go ask her, right? Go take it head on, which is always the Aloy way. You got to be bad at stuff before you're good at it, friends. And people being good at things is not a reflection of you being bad at them. It just means that they put work into it. You can do that too. Anxiety be damned.
If you need anything before heading out to the cauldrons,
You have nothing to worry about. Gaia's explained your plan in detail, as expected from such an efficient AI. I've even received some very, succinct combat advice from Katalo. You know, in case the Zeniths show up.
what kind of advice?
He, told me to run.
For now. We'll even the odds soon enough. I should go. Make sure you talk to Gaia if you have any questions about the pulse generators.
May your path lead to truth.
Good call, Katalo. Good call, buddy.
And, like I said, I'll let you know when I'm in landfall. We'll find the data you're after.
I appreciate it.
Y'all couldn't ask me this before we knew about... whatever. All right, well, we will talk to our fellow companions, then go up and talk to Gaia in part 41. I gotta go. I have hard time boundaries on the daytime streams, so as much as I would love to keep going, I gotta see myself out. But YouTube, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate it immensely. I hope that my thoughts were meaningful in some kind of way. We are rocking and rolling right now. This is great. Got a lot of good stuff coming at us. So part 41 should be lovely. Please leave a thumbs up on the way out. Leave a comment. If you're binging, I will see you in the next episode. And if you're waiting for the next one to come out, we'll get it out to you as fast as we can. Hope you have a good one. I appreciate you. And I'll see you in the next one.